the She-Hulk finale.
Yes. And I just want to start off. You were right, Connor.
But before we get into how right I was about many things,
the opening title is what I'm about.
I've got a number of things we need to go through here. First and foremost, and people are going to hate this.
Oh.
That finale was the best finale of all of the Disney Plus shows. Every other Disney Plus finale, I looked at the timer at some point and went, they've not got a lot of time to wrap this up. She-Hulk, I clicked on the timer and went, what are they going to do for these last couple of minutes? We then found out, which was very pog. I wasn't expecting it. But their pacing for the finale was phenomenal. Whether you actually liked the quality of the finale is different. But for me, as someone who's enjoyed all of the shows, that was the best finale because I didn't find myself going, Jesus Christ, this feels a bit rushed.
Yeah, in pacing terms of things, I think they've nailed it with this series. Overall, just like, there was, one episode at like episode 2 or 3 where we felt like
3.
It slipped slightly, but it's actually meant the rest of it felt fine. So I would agree. The finale had a good pace to it.
So before we get into the actual show, I've got to address one of my other comments from last week and double down on it.
Oh.
Last week I called this show essentially Rick and Morty.
You did?
Mate, tell me I'm fucking wrong. And do you know what the best bit is? The people who are going to hate that comment the most are the people who are going to go, oh, no, Rick and Morty's so much smarter than She-Hulk, not realising how dumb they sound while they say it.
I just loved how many like pop culture references they got into this finale.
Okay, so this is where we get into the really good stuff, because I don't think you fully understand how deep a cut the first joke in this entire show is. They teased it earlier and then they double down. So, She-Hulk as a character came about in a very interesting way.
Okay.
So, in the 70s, you had the Hulk TV show.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what the opening credits were an homage to, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's even better than you think. This joke is so meta. Okay, so, that show was doing so well, the studio who are making it for Marvel were getting ready to make a spin-off about Bruce's cousin.
Right.
But Marvel didn't have that character. They hadn't written She-Hulk yet.
Okay.
So the studio were going to make this character up and then own them.
Oh, okay.
So Marvel got in quickly and trademarked She-Hulk, which is why we had that joke about fighting for the name She-Hulk earlier in the series.
Oh my God.
That was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek reference to that. And then they doubled down by doing an homage to the entrance to the show that literally caused She-Hulk to come into existence. And yes, now we can talk about how right I was by me saying the title would be Savage She-Hulk for this week.
As soon as that popped up, I was like, Connor's going to just instantly be in there and be like, see, I told you.
Yeah, so in the chat where I went, bro, I'm a fucking genius, that was literally as that happened. I literally hadn't even watched any more of the episode yet.
Just from that point, I was like, I feel like there's going to be this isn't going to be a normal finale.
But that joke for the entrance and stuff was so outrageously meta. I couldn't. I was like, that is brilliant.
Can we also talk about the fact that they teased that finale intro before the show even came out with that shot of Bruce and Jenna, and everyone was like, I wonder how this is gonna fit into the show, and like what are they gonna pull off a WandaVision sort of thing where they do like and no one had any idea.
But it was so good. What are the other things that are? There was so much.
There was a lot happened.
So we come back into the show. Jen's been arrested for hulking out. Intelligentsia have got what they wanted. She's embarrassed herself. And as a result, she's instantly been arrested. I don't even know if she committed any crimes.
Well, it was damage control, right?
Yeah, but
the ODC.
Did she commit a crime?
Well, No, but damage control doesn't necessarily wait for them to commit a crime, do they?
No,
They just
I,
grab
I,
them
I
and bag
guess my
them.
point is, I think her being arrested was kind of the show pointing out the absurdity of victim blaming.
Oh, like, it's 100% like meant to come across as like they've arrested her before she's done anything.
Yeah.
And like the fact that they're just scared because she's a Hulk.
Yeah. But then she accepts that she won't have any charges brought against her as long as she wears her inhibitor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we kind of get the payoff of the whole her learning to love being both Jen and She-Hulk. And they pay that off by her now feeling empty.
Yeah.
And then she decides to go see her good friend Emil. Because he's been through this exact same thing. Maybe he can help.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess you can retroactively look back on it as just writing to move the plot along. Because she doesn't particularly like Emil, so why would she want to go spend time with him? But obviously, it is to move the plot along.
Yeah, though I would say after that episode where she spent the time at the retreat, she gained a bit more, like, I guess, respect or whatever for what he was doing.
And this is where the stupidity really ensues, and I think a lot of us starters going, "What is happening?" So you have Pug and Nikki breaking into the intelligentsia conference, and I hate to say it, Horry, you look like you'd fit in there.
Whoa. Toxic.
Tell me I'm wrong though.
You're wrong.
I think they made the crowd look a little bit too hipster and not incel enough.
I don't know. There's definitely some incel-y.
Oh, I mean they're all.
But the
incels.
thing is, it's like it's all just gym jocks and gym bros and
yeah.
we also though for them to get to there is Jen's mum gave Nikki that video.
One sec. But I paused it while at work. Did you see some of the instant comments that popped up?
Oh no, I didn't. I should have paused and read them.
It literally looked like a Reddit comment thread.
It
was like, I would have hit her back then before she became a crazy psycho. It was like, and my favourite one was like, you can see thong at 1:11. It's like, bro.
That's typical internet. Well, it's like, it wouldn't surprise me if they are comments they've seen on the internet and pulled, because haven't they done that with tweets where they've actually pulled real tweets about the show and then,
But do you know what the funny thing is? Every week this show has feel like it's responded to the trolls from the week before. But this show was all filmed and shot and edited months ago. So they've just successfully predicted what all the dickheads are going to say.
Yeah, this is true.
Which shows how unoriginal you are, by the way.
Oh yeah, it shows how predictable the internet is.
You get like chaos breaking out, Todd making the big reveal that he was Hulk King, which was kind of obvious, but not massively. We never outright said it, but I assumed he was involved somehow. I didn't assume he was Hulk King. I assumed he was like his right hand man.
Do you know what I was annoyed that we didn't see?
Go on.
Josh.
Yeah, it felt a bit weird, but
I guess
I'm okay if I never see that man again.
True. He was probably like a hired guy, I guess.
I'd imagine so. So then we get him doing the big blood stolen power. Oh, I'm powerful now. Abomination trying to help Jen. Hulk comes crushing through the roof, at which point Jen's making fourth wall breaks. And they're like, this is chaotic as fuck, even for a Marvel show.
Yeah,
what's
and
going on?
Titania shows up as well, and it's just like Jen's making fourth wall breaks, being like, what the fuck is going, like, what?
The bit that really threw me off is when Abomination was helping Jen and Hulk just started throwing hands. It's like, okay, but we know they've patched things up. Bruce isn't going to assume the worst of him. I was like, okay, where is this fucking going?
Yeah, I was like, this is just going into all out chaos.
Yeah. And thus came one of the best creative, the best and most creative bits of comedy I've seen in a Marvel film.
This
show
created the greatest fourth wall break ever. Like, as meta as you could be with a fourth wall break.
Oh, sorry. You talk. talking about fourth wall
Oh.
breaks just reminded me of something. So you know TV Sins?
TV Sins?
Have you never watched TV Sins?
I may have done in passing, not
Okay,
realised.
cool. So they're a kind of YouTube channel that goes through shows and they just like call it out on cliches and silly stuff and plot holes and stuff as you
Oh,
go
I
through.
think I have seen their stuff in passing. Yes.
It's a lot of satire. It shouldn't be taken super seriously.
Yeah.
My problem, I was watching their breakdown of the first She-Hulk episode because they're not particularly quick to everything.
Well, yeah, they're covering everything.
And they called her a Deadpool knockoff for breaking the fourth wall. On multiple occasions. I have no issue with people doing like funny commentary to take the mick out of a show or just straight up bashing the show if you don't like it, as long as you make valid points. Do not make a dumbass point like Deadpool copycat when she fucking did it first.
Kind of out here making YouTube enemies already.
Don't even. Because I really enjoy their content. I find it really fun to just poke holes in stuff.
They said the worst thing because you brought this up so many times since the show.
But it's like it's a 15-minute video. I had to click off after 3 minutes because they'd already said it like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, no, I'm out. I check out. Done.
You got.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't.
Now
I will watch their second episode once they get around to it to see if because they do normally read their comments. So I'm imagining there was a number of people in the comments going, "She did it first, dumbass," and they will address that hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sorry that just you reminded me. Did anyone else when it went to the Disney Plus homepage go to click to see what the fuck was going on?
I was grabbing. So I was watching this, and honestly, like perfect fucking timing for it to happen. I went and reached over for my coffee, and I looked back and it was on the menu. I was like, "Huh?" And then as I'm like, "Well," I'm like, "Huh?" But as I've looked at it, it's like had that first couple of seconds. So then she busts through, and I'm like, "Oh wait, this is part of the show." I was like, "What is going on now?" But that was so well done.
Yeah.
Hasn't she busted out of the like comic book pages?
Probably.
I'm sure I saw something today on Twitter. Like someone was like, "They're like this is like the perfect homage to kind of like she's done this in the comics, like by busting out the comic book pages."
Possibly have a look.
But yeah, the way she just boots open.
Yeah, she has.
There we go. So they're 100% just paying like.
Yeah, it's a fun way to homage that.
Yeah.
Now here's the problem. This is the only time I've ever been a little bit upset about subtitles.
Oh.
In the subtitles, it put the dots in between the letters when she said, "I want to speak to Kevin."
Yes.
So that ruined the reveal of Kevin being a robot and not actually being Kevin Feige.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. So I had them on. I was like, "Oh, they're doing Kevin as a." I was like, they're saying Kevin that way, but she says Kevin normally because she doesn't know. And I was like, he's going to be some sort of robot.
Yeah. It just ruined it a little bit because I would have preferred the balance of, oh, is it a human? Isn't it? Is it actually going to be Kevin? Whereas I saw the dots, I was like, okay, cool, it's a robot.
But like the way that they had her, like the whole thing, I was just sat there like, they're really going this far with the fourth wall break of like she is on her own film set of them making the show, and now she's
in the so good.
I was just like, they're going all the way.
It was even the really better commentary of can you transform off screen though because you're really expensive.
Yeah, well, yeah. So she gets to the bit where she beats up those guys, the security, and then she gets in, and it's like the typical fucking room of screen show in all the Marvel films. And it's just like, okay, it seems like a legit sort of room that would be at Marvel Studios. And then as Kevin comes down, I'm like, it's fucking GLaDOS. It's fucking Portal. They're doing a Portal reference. And then he's a fucking robot, and they're discussing it. And he goes, yeah, so can we time this so you're off screen when you're transforming? This is getting very expensive. And then at the end of that whole conversation, and when he's like, she's like, "Am I transforming back?" And he's like, "No, we moved them onto a different project."
Just it's so good. So
So
good.
if I
Do
was Kevin,
mm,
I would have changed today. I would have been on Twitter and changed my Twitter name to Kevin with dots and completely embraced the fact that I'm actually
yeah,
a robot.
100%.
Because who actually knows? Maybe Kevin is a robot. Maybe
Um,
this is how the MCU is run now.
yeah. I enjoyed the way she like gave her criticisms of the scene. She's like, get rid of that, change that. It makes no sense.
Make it
And the whole
daytime.
yeah, and the whole point was them addressing the criticism from people going Marvel's just becoming copy and paste.
Yeah.
And it was also going, no, this story is about Jen coming to terms with being Jen and She-Hulk. It's not about the villain, which is why there hasn't really been a villain.
Yeah. And
And it
like
was handled really, really well.
also handling the whole thing of like Jen's blood was feeling just like the whole super serum shit again, which we basically did with
The
Falcon
leader.
and well, yeah, we basically did that with the Falcon and Winter Soldier series.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, they completely addressed all the whole copy paste thing.
Yeah.
I like the
But
fact that Kevin was like, "Oh, but we need Hulk though, because we need to explain where he's been." And she's just
save it for
like,
the film.
"So yeah, save it for the film." And I was like, "Huh?"
So yeah, that comment is what threw me off when I looked at the timer and went, okay, there's a lot of time left. What are they going to fill this with?
We
Because I
also
genuinely
then
thought they would save it for a film.
got Jen saying that, and she was like, "Oh, nah, maybe just drop Daredevil back in there. Girl's
Yeah.
got her needs." And then I loved the bit where she sat on the floor and then she goes, "What about?" She's asking them about, it and she goes, "What about X-Men?" And then she gives a thumbs up to the camera.
You mean when she took on the form of me?
Yeah, literally like started asking questions about everything. I love that.
It was so well done. If you don't like it, you hate fun. Um,
Yeah, and like
it was fun. What more do you want?
if you don't like it, like I don't understand how like you just gotta embrace the fact that like this is all meant to be meta and like taking the mick out of itself and essentially taking the piss out of everything that everyone else tries to take the piss out of Marvel for.
Exactly. They laughed at themselves.
It
I
was
really enjoyed
very
the
well done.
family barbecue.
You mean the Fast and Furious
Yeah,
family barbecue?
family. I mean, yeah, it felt like it was out of Fast and Furious
I'll
film.
tell you what though, Daredevil in Daylight's weird. Matt Murdock at a family barbecue, weird.
Hey, I would kiss that man so hard.
It was so weird though that like
Yeah.
he was at a family barbecue, and then the fact they were on about, so are you here for a while? Plenty of time to have a baby.
Can we enjoy all of her aunties being absolutely all over him though?
Well, yeah. Are we surprised?
Do you know what the really funny thing was? So one of the husbands came over and was like, come help me with the burgers, dear. It picked it up on the subtitles and I subtly heard it, but the other auntie went,
Oh, do you want to try my hamburger?
literally, I was like, because she said it like quite a sultry voice as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, and then
It was so good.
typical, literally, like they are 100% memeing that Fast and Furious like family barbecue
Oh yeah,
scene.
gotta be.
Because in that film, Dwayne or I forget what his character is in that
Hobbs.
film. Hobbs like appears, then he walks up the driveway.
Yeah.
And in the same fashion, Hulk rocks up.
Yeah.
Walks in, and then that's where we get the sun reveal.
Scar.
I will say
who
one
called
thing.
that, huh?
I will say one thing.
Go on.
I enjoyed all the meminess, but it felt very rushed in how Hulk was like, "Oh yeah, I've been on." Like he just like info dumped where he's been.
Well, no, because we knew he was going to Scar.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just would have liked a bit more detail or something.
That
Yeah.
based on the fact they were attacked by a Sicarian ship, and then he got inside Sicarian ship and fucked off in space. I'll be honest. I didn't think we'd actually see Scar in the series.
Oh no,
I thought they would leave that for whatever's coming next. The fact that we actually got to saw him had me so in hype.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see him at all. Obviously, I think that's why it feels like an info dump, because I think my expectation was we'd get Hulk back and he'd maybe like explain where he's been. But
Yeah.
no, it was like we got everything sort of dumped on us. Which obviously
Hulk
confirms.
fan here in big numbers.
So that obviously confirms, well, again, Planet Hulk, right?
I'd
Pretty
assume
much.
so.
Pretty much.
It's a bit weird for him to already have his son, but I'm not that well versed in the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk stories. But yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. And then we had our post-credit scene of
We had our final Wong
back in prison.
cameo.
Yeah, Emil back in prison for breaking his parole.
Well, he agreed to go back.
Yeah, and then Wong letting him come to Commodore like the offer was there. Makes me wonder if that's actually leading to something though. Are we gonna get like a mystical magical abomination?
I think he's gonna help them out in some way, or help Wong out in things, for sure. Because they obviously have that friendship there from the whole Fight Club shenanigans. I love the fact though that Wong was like, sorry, I got held up, and he's like, lots of shows going on at the moment. Like, nodding at the fact that I'm going to cameo in a lot of shows. So, be ready for it. And then, yeah, Abomination leaves and almost seemingly has had that set up, like, planned. So, if he ended up back in prison, he could just go there.
Well, I mean, when Wong broke him out for Shang-Chi, we were told Wong gave him the option to come back to Commodore.
Oh, yeah, true. So
I
he probably
can
just rang
only
him up.
assume he sent him a letter and went,
Hey, yo, is that offer still good?
Still got a spare room, bro.
Yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it.
I thought that it was hilarious. The whole 4-4 break. I love that stuff. So I loved how deep they went with it.
I'm a huge fucking Rick and Morty nerd. The meta bullshit commentary is where I absolutely am at my happiest, and they did it really well in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, and like, honestly, the whole like idea of making Kevin into GLaDOS kind of just plays into this meme of like Kevin runs everything, and there's a lot going on in the MCU now. So it's like, it's almost like, yeah, would make sense if he was just a robot running this shit.
The only thing I might have liked as much would have been if she'd have opened the door and gone into like a bright white God style office with
like
Kevin
Bruce
just
Almighty.
sat there. Yeah, and Bruce sat. Sorry,
Bruce.
Kevin sat there in a white suit and a white out Marvel cap. So like how he normally dresses,
Yeah.
just all white. That would have been the only thing that might have been as good.
Oh, that actually, yeah.
That would have been really good.
That would have been.
But I do enjoy the robot shenanigans.
Yeah, I just love the fact that they kept tying in, like they tied in a few different kind of pop culture sort of recognizable sort of scenes and things.
Yeah.
But honestly, such a good finale.
Yeah. Very, very much enjoyed it. Very excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, and
more.
I like how, wasn't it? She also mentioned about being in, was it a film or something? And then he said there was like that weird hint of like,
the robot said, Kevin said, "Get back on the big screen," and she went, "Really?" And she was like,
"Oh yeah,
no.
that was it. That was it." So how she's used and stuff, obviously in the future, will be interesting to see.
Yes.